The Todd Shapiro Show.
Time to hit the button!
On Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
And Frank Dumas and I were chatting. I said, come on the show tomorrow. Let's find out about PDAC and everything going on with St. George's Eco Mining and the Zeu Crypto Networks. And here he is. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing okay.
Oh, come on. You're so honest.
A little bit under the weather, but
Yeah.
I'm doing fine.
You don't have to be that honest. You don't got to let anybody know that.
Well,
You look good.
That's the story I'm going on.
Okay.
I got out of a bunch of things today just because of that.
How's, before you go on, you also brought a friend here. Let's set up the mic for your friend. There you go. Who'd you bring in?
I brought Christine. Christine is the CEO of Iceland Resource, basically running the whole operation in Iceland. And that's the only way you can get things done in Iceland is actually have a woman in charge.
Okay, I mean, that's great. Women, I think, should be in charge all the time, Frank, to be honest. Men, what do we know? So tell me about, Christine, your last name?
Olive Star.
All-Star, okay, real close to the mic, real close, if you don't mind. And you're the CEO of which company?
Iceland Resources.
Okay, what's the stock symbol on that one?
Now, Iceland Resource is actually a subsidiary of St. George.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, and then so tell us, the CEO of Iceland Resources, what it is what that does.
We basically hold all the mineral licenses in the country, so...
That's pretty impressive, because it's not the smallest of places. What is the population of Iceland?
350,000 people.
Is that all there is there, actually?
That is all there is,
And what's the landmass, do you know?
No, not quite. But it's smaller than Texas.
It's small, yeah. Bilal, crank up the levels, please, if you wouldn't mind for me, for Christine. And you're an Icelander?
Yeah.
Yes. And how long? So that's. I've never been to Iceland. I hear it's quite marvelous and beautiful.
It's actually one of the most beautiful places in the world. Yeah, we have the whole range of nature, everything from the black sands to the volcano masses and the glaciers. So yeah.
What's the hottest temperature it gets to?
23
so I mean
degrees.
It's
not that good weather-wise.
Yeah, but that's not terrible either.
No, it's fine. But global warming could be nicer to us.
Careful of saying that. Here with Frank Dumas and Christine, and the you guys work together and stuff. Tell me about the mineral and the resources within Iceland. What is it known for? What is it that you're exploring? And you know what is it that it's going to benefit the rest of the world from what you find?
We're exploring for gold, mostly copper and nickel, but there are tons of resources there, but we're putting our focus on that right now. So,
going after the gold, huh? Frank? Are you a big believer in gold?
I've never been a fan. Like, I'm a big silver buff.
Okay.
That's the thing. It's because, for many reasons, like every conference, every show that you go, our gold show, way back 10, 20, 25 years ago, when I started to, being around that, you would get all the crazies in the gold shows, like all the guys that buy, gold, guns, and Bibles. And you would get the rational people at the silver shows, the people that have, applications, like industrial applications. So I'm prejudiced. There's a lot of fantastic people I met over the years that are running gold companies, like very good friends of mine. But for the longest time, I was not a gold bag.
One of the individuals, and I do some work with him too, Roy Sabag, who's CEO of Gold Money and as well of Monet. He's really got me believing in gold and the meaning of gold and the value of gold and the idea that if there's ever a collapse of these systems, that gold will be very important to own, to have, to and listen, that might be a very dire situation if that were to ever come, but I really got to believing in gold. The other part about gold that really intrigued me is the fact that, like, you can't get rid of gold. Like, you can't burn gold. Like, it's really, I don't know if it's connected to God in any way. I'm not very religious, but there's a very spiritual feeling and aspect to gold that I've started to discover. Do you feel the same way, Christine?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's always been there. It's always been the kind of relic of everything we do. And it's so intertwined with the cultures around the world, all from the original people and all the way here. And like you say, you can't get rid of it. So it's the one that's going to stick.
It's definitely the one that's going to stick. So, Frank, we got you believing yet, or what?
Almost.
Almost. Before we talk about St. George's eco mining and more than just you're the subsidiary of it, tell us about PDAC. Like, a lot of people, because investors hear about PDAC and go, should I go? Should I go? Is it too inside? And, for the regular person who's intrigued by whether it's junior explorers or big companies and getting to know management teams and stuff, there's really quite a lot to do there. It's pretty fascinating, isn't it?
There's a lot off PDAC also, in the sense that it's a perfect week to be in Toronto. And you're going to see that from restaurant to strip joint, where, they actually call extra staff coming in because they know, they're going to have people from all around the world. I know people that I've seen every year for the last 15 years in Toronto during that show that never bought a pass to PDAC. That just come, they do their meeting in restaurants around, they'll rent a suite in an hotel and get their meetings done there. And it's interesting to be in Toronto. And usually it's when snow starts to melt. And not this year, I don't know, I blame Justin Trudeau, but that's you know me, it's always him. But usually it's kind of the beginning of a lot of things. It's always the momentum starts with PDAC.
What would an example be, and maybe you can think of one, hopefully you can think of one, of say a Canadian company that during the 10, 15 years you've been in 10 years, like, my goodness, I remember when it was X and now it's Y, and Y is massive.
Definitely. If you go back, it's maybe not linked. Goldcorp was one, for example, a penny stock and going, but that's maybe 30 years ago. You look at Osisco. And Osisco was doing flow-through financing pitching it at PDAC and giving access to retail investors. They were they were not a sub penny, but they were a sub dollar, like they were a penny stock, and with a crazy project that was literally against the gold culture in Toronto. Toronto financial community has been brought up with Red Lake and like high grade gold type of deposit, and Cisco was coming with that crazy idea of having to move a town to process 1 gram of gold per ton on massive amounts of land and massive surface, and they were literally going after investor one after another, and a lot of people got to meet and to know the principles. Now I don't know, like I'm not going to disclose how much they're worth, but
sure,
they're well off.
Well, I mean, it's a publicly traded company,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, anyone can go and find their market cap, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the individuals, like these guys.
That
were sweating it off on the floor and, getting people to restart the pitch and explain and making it so that laymen would understand what they were doing and why it was interesting. And we're looking at, these guys were saying gold cannot stay in the $200-300 range. It has.
What's it? 1,500 now? 1,800? Is it?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story. So you do believe in gold, Frank Dumas?
No, I believe in business in the sense that gold, if you produce it, you could have 10 million ounces of gold. If it's not economical to extract it, you have nothing.
Yeah, that's fair.
You don't have 10 million ounces. You have nada. You have squat, and that's why I believe in metallurgy. And that's what we do in St. George's. If we have the method to make it profitable, then it's a business like any other business. It's like a convenience store. You will not ever raise money and issue shares for a convenience store that will lose money every year. At one point, you figure out an angle to get some profit out of this.
Yeah, the peanut butter in the chocolate really helped when they did that one. Yeah, and I'm going to the convenience store to get that. So tell us, give us a little update on St. George's. I know that St. George's Eco Mining, you guys are always kind of delving into whether it's our sort of cryptocurrencies and mining. You got so much going on with your big brains in that biz. Where are you at now?
We're not really in cryptocurrency. Like I'm saying that every time. We do own some of it. We actually did some financing in Zeu in the subsidiary, where we accepted cryptocurrency.
Okay, so nothing to do with crypto. It's blockchain.
That's
what I meant
blockchain.
to say, to be honest. I apologize.
For example, yesterday we put out a press release, and that's regarding Zeu, the blockchain subsidiary that's in the process of being spin off. And we put out a news release regarding a patent that we filed on Friday, provisional patent. And that's a blockchain-based email platform. And we're looking at probably deploying this year and before the end of the year as a free, at least having a free version that people can start to use.
And what would the benefit of having blockchain-based email be?
It's a few things. First, that means that you can guarantee the content of your email, that nobody's going to tamper with it. The timestamps will be guaranteed. Also, it's more. Think of it, the best way for me to explain it to normal people, not the people that need that high level of encryption and security, is having an email where you don't get spam. You don't waste 20 minutes. Imagine in business, you have 500 employees, and you have 500 employees spending each of them 20 minutes every day going through penis enlargement and whatever else, Nigerian letters and whatnot that you get, no matter how much effort you put into anti-spam software and whatnot, it's still coming true. And then suddenly, now you're going to have that authentication system that literally eliminate most of it. Like, we're probably going to put a bounty into with that software, where we're going to give an amount of money to the people that will actually be able to go around it and send spam, because we think that we eliminate spam.
Isn't that wild?
Entirely.
Challenge them to go and get it.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine how wonderful that would be for big business, especially. I mean, big business is all about efficiency and cost saving. And
well, it ties into smart contracts, and that's the beauty of the blockchain, is that suddenly you have payments to make, you have authentication, you receive an email, and how many people receive phishing emails from their bank? Not from their bank, but from people impersonating their bank.
no, and it's quite frightening, actually.
Yeah. And even myself, I'm paranoid when it gets to securities. I got a lot of people trying to get into my stuff. I have a list of people I know that are trying to get into my stuff, and plus the paranoia part. But there's some of it that are real. And but
I'm sorry to hear that. Both.
Yeah,
that people are trying to get your stuff and all the paranoia.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm careful. I'm very careful in what I open and how I manage emails and stuff like that. And I still almost got caught recently.
To be honest, and a lot of people will know this, you'll get an email from your buddy once in a while and be like, oh, I think you're spam, because apparently you open something, then they send everything to all your friends and stuff. Sometimes you don't even know you do it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's either that or they got into your server, and that's the one thing. When you send an email right now, even if you send something encrypted, not that many people use encrypted email, but even at that point, we're using keys, private key, public keys, and if you send an email to me, like what you sent me while I was in the car or in the Uber coming here, I think I'm not supposed to name non-sponsor of your show, but anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just screwed up here.
I don't care.
You also told me I'm not supposed to say the R word, and then there's another thing. I never read these lists.
Stop. Okay.
But you send an email, usually you'll put your password, you're in the application, and then you send the email. You send that in plain text. I could be in between and intercept everything and read everything. And I could modify it even very easily. It's not something, it's not the Chinese army or some Russian hacker farm somewhere that will do it. It's pretty much like a 12 years old kid who read a few articles on the dark web, and they'll be able to do it. It's very easy to do. The tools are there. They're just going to use stuff that's easily accessible, and they could do damage that is quantifiable in a small business, and they can steal money, they can steal password, they can get into your bank account, they can waste a lot of your times and a lot of your employees' time. And now suddenly what we do, and the worst part is all this is standing on a server. Now that's the one weak point. It's your server, your mail server. We eliminate the mail server with this system. It's totally distributed. So there's not one point they can attack, and there's not one email. Of all your email, there's not one complete email at one place. It's
So
suddenly
it's basically
everywhere.
A to B. That's it. It's just sent, you get it. There's no
Well-
server. There's no. And that's what the blockchain is, right? It just gets into the different block.
Yeah,
essentially.
suddenly the jokes, that my father sent me, some of them are like probably not PG-13, but suddenly some of them will be in the CPU of your microwave, or like it's basically what we're going to do. We're going to distribute this thing all over.
So is that one of the things over when you're building out this Zeu? What is it called? The Zeu Network, Zeu Crypto Network. What's the goal? What's it called over there, Frank?
It's Zeu Crypto Networks.
See, is the goal to basically educate people, businesses, etc., on how important it is to actually have your privacy, and that there actually isn't a lot of it, even though we think that there might be?
I don't think we need to educate people.
You think I think people take it for granted. I don't think people really realize
until they educate themselves, and that's what's happening. I've seen it too often. It's like they're naive until they're not, because something happened, or something happened to people close to them or in their business, and they see it and they see the value of it. And the other thing we want to do is, one way to finance this so that it's a free product is that we will probably trade into the people's metadata. So that means that you go see a bunch of, you exchange a bunch of pictures of Jeeps, like you do, like I've seen your emails. We can sell that data, and we know kind of the time frame when you're going to change that truck, or when you're going to need an oil change, or new tires or whatnot. And if you give us that access, which is like, we'll be able to bundle these data and trade it and finance the whole system. And people that don't want that can opt out. Yeah, they can opt out and pay. It's not going to be very expensive, but just enough that show that they value their privacy.
Do we?
There's a difference. There's a lot of other people doing it right now, and they're not even paying you.
Well, that's exactly. I mean, look what happened with the Facebook stuff, and that one was massive. And the one common thing that I still think a lot of people don't understand, and even to me to some extent, but I'm sure it has to do with your cookies, is when you go and you Google an IKEA bed, for your kid, and next thing you know, everywhere you go, IKEA beds are popping up. But what's scarier, Frank, and Frank Dumas from St. George's Eco Mining, and maybe you'll have an answer for me, is it seems to be like when you're talking about something now, you get an Instagram ad. And is that, do phones listen?
I could actually show it to you. I could show you how they're doing it and where the database is and on which server. So right now, for example, if you go to Facebook and you're going to talk to somebody else who's one of your friends on Facebook, on their messenger, they're listening to it. They're catching on some keywords, and you're going to see instantly the ads changing in favor of whatever you've been discussing. I just had a kid, you know about it.
Congratulations,
so I'm getting so many stuff. Like, they think I'm the mother, so that's the funny part. But I'm getting so many.
Maybe they just think you're really old and sending you diaper ads.
That could be that could be that also. Like, it's a little bit small. But
the
diaper. Oh, great! You didn't release my secret. But no, they're doing it already. And if
but
you
what
look,
about actual voice?
I suspect that they do for many reasons. First, you have all these systems now that you're going to talk to and ask, like Alexa or Google and all that. While you're talking to them, there's no such thing as voice for these machines. They convert back into text data, and that goes into the same database. So if they're doing it already on the other system, they're doing it on this one. If they don't, they're stupid. They should. Like, it makes no sense. It makes no commercial sense. They're already doing it anyway on a lot of the other platform. This is a fantastic platform to do it. And people think it's convenient, and some people probably believe that it's still worth it because they get access to stuff that they like to buy, or they get exposed to stuff they were not aware existed. They don't need to do the research themselves, and things get easier for them. The only difference is somebody else makes money with it. Well, they could probably profit from that.
We got a call on the phone. I believe it's John from Michigan. Do you have a question for Frank Dumas from St. George's Eco Mining, John?
It's very funny that you had just brought up about, talking about something and then having something pop up in your Twitter feed or elsewhere. First of all, are both your guests from Iceland?
Not Frank. No, listen to Frank's accent. He's French Canadian.
I'm pure whiskey tango from the North Shore of Quebec.
Okay. But yes, but Christina's.
Okay, something very interesting happened. My neighbor broke the cable on my snowblower, and it needs to be repaired. We were just talking about it. I don't know if he went in and did a search, but suddenly on my Facebook feed, I have things for cable repair kits rather than just buying it. And just completely out of the blue to me, which I know people have talked about things popping up like that, and it kind of blew me out of the water. I've never had a need for this, and now suddenly I have something popping up for wire cable repair kit. And it was actually kind of scary to me, to be honest with you.
Well, I would say first, sorry for your snowblower. I know the pain that, but you just experienced firsthand what they're doing. They've been doing that for a few years now, and it's just getting into people's mind that this is going on.
Absolutely. And the other comment I had, because Christina's from Iceland.
Is it Kristen? I'm sorry. It is Kristen. It was my apologies. It's Kristen. Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
Is that Iceland is one of the few countries to take their entire banking system to task and actually hold them accountable for the vast amount of damage they had done, I know, to the Icelandic currency and the system of banking. And I thought that was very interesting, too, her being from Iceland. I was just trying to tie everything together, Todd.
No, but is that a benefit? Has that helped? I mean, is that beneficial in Iceland, or?
It's true in some sense.
Real close, sorry.
Yeah. It's true in some sense. We did put people in jail for what happened in the bank crisis. So yes, it did help. We did get a terrorist law against us from the UK at that point. So there was, in a way, something that needed to be done. They did get good jail time. Someone got a helicopter ride to the golf course on his day off and stuff. So it's not the American Canadian jail you guys know, but we did make them accountable in a way.
How is the economy in Iceland right now? John, thanks for calling, by the way.
You're very welcome, Todd. And I have been to Reykjavik twice.
Beautiful, right?
I think it is. Yeah. Thanks, John.
I have been. Yep.
I just got a few minutes with Frank and Kristen, so I got to run. But thanks for the call.
Got it.
Economy's doing well.
Yeah, it's doing well at this point. People are getting nervous, though. We have strikes coming. There's a bit of a rocky situation going on, but still we're doing really well.
I think there's rocky situations everywhere. We see what's going on right now with Trudeau. We see what's going on with Trump. I mean, you can't win no matter where you are. So, Frank, only because we have about 5 minutes left here, what can we look forward to with the St. George's Eco Mining? And I said it earlier on the show, and I meant it. You got this big brain, sometimes tough to keep up. We go for drinks, Frank and I, and I'm like, I listen in awe because he's just one of the. He reminds me of Elon Musk in a little way, not just your tweeting, but your brain. I mean, you have just such this bright mind on you, but not for the normal person, so to speak. So sometimes, so what can we look forward to? Because I'm sure you're always looking to put it together with the company.
Well, there's we streamlined the operation, so we have a lot of people now in charge that actually can take up a lot of the task or move forward the agenda on the different subsidiaries. There's a ton of things that will happen in Iceland. Christine is running a fantastic operation there, and there's also we've been somehow involved in energy production in Iceland. Not our fault. It was just there when we acquired the company. But now it looks like there's a bunch of projects, like from geothermal operation to electric dams. They're all coming they're not coming online, but they're actually, moving forward. And we have good reception from the government, and suddenly things that we thought would not move ahead are moving at a good pace. there's a lot of things we cannot talk about. There's
Okay.
a lot of things behind doors that are moving right now, and I would be lying if I would tell you when we'd be able to announce it. It could be next week, could be tomorrow, but not tomorrow, but let's say in a few days, and or it could be in 6 months from now, because there's third-party people that are third-party organization and government involved. But I think if you look at what we're doing with there's the metallurgy side of things in St. George. There's the lithium technology that will definitely have some big news coming, I would say within next few weeks. Some updates in the next probably a week or so, but there'll be some breakthrough announcement in the next few weeks. I'm very, very excited about this one. We're probably going to be able to go and unlock a bunch of lithium projects that were not economical until then, and if we succeed there, we'll make them economical. So that's going to be a game changer for that business. That would probably have an impact on the price of lithium, just because of the sheer size of what we can unlock.
How important is lithium right now, based on conservation and batteries and things like that? Where are we headed with that?
We had people had big expectation about that market, and it's not necessarily, the demand didn't meet the expectation. Like, there was a lot of hype around it, and it come down, and we're now more in a reasonable
Realistic
pattern.
phase?
Yeah, realistic phase,
Yeah.
I would say. But it's just a matter of having the grid being deployed a little bit more, or having access to a grid for electric vehicles. There's probably the super batteries that, it's bad translation from French, by the way, but the batteries that allows you to probably regulate grids when you have wind power, or you have solar, which could bring down a normal grid, because it's never regular. And the battery park will make it regular, in a sense that you can store energy. And if it goes down, there's no wind, you can still produce the same amount, or push the same amount of energy to the grid. So there's things like that are coming online in the next 5 to 10 years that will make a big difference. There's also a fact that a lot of people are starting to understand that the electric car is not necessarily the most ecological thing. If you buy an electric car tomorrow, you might actually produce more carbon emission that if you buy a small, gas-powered, not gas-powered, but, well, gas-powered would be awesome, but I mean fuel-powered car.
Sure.
So you need to start to look at the producer that are doing it with a metallurgical process that will also be ecological. So that's one thing. And I think slowly but surely, people start to educate themselves, and they start to make the good choice. Now, the other thing you ask is regarding what else is going to be happening. We have a few surprise left in Zeu, in the crypto and the blockchain company. And apart from the fact that this one's going to be spin off and be standing alone very soon, there's a few other things that we have up our sleeve there that will be probably as much, if not more, disruptive than the blockchain-based email that we want to deploy.
And I guess just on a generalization sort of here, do you still really big believer in blockchain and the fact that, well, cryptos might have had a little bit of a tail off that wasn't indicative of where the blockchain space will go?
There's two things with the blockchains. We need to move to a blockchain if we want global acceptance or global deployment. We need to be able to reduce the energy costs of blockchain. So we need to move into a hybrid situation. We're going to need also to make some compromise. There's a lot of blockchain diehards that are absolutely against permission-based blockchain. They're absolutely against anything that's not anonymous, that's not totally decentralized, totally distributed. I tend to, I'm kind of friendly to these people, but we have to be realistic at one point. If you want to get into business, you're going to have to make certain compromise. You want to get into government, you want government, for example, to run election using blockchain technology, which would be fantastic. Because suddenly you take out corruptions, you take out, a lot of issues.
Waiting
out.
in line next to smelly people sometimes. Let's be honest, a lot of smelly people vote.
Well, so far nobody has been able to put the smell on the blockchain. So that's that's the one thing. And maybe you just put your finger on a business there, business model.
Scratch and sniff blockchain. No, I'm okay. Well, Frank, I'm always grateful for the catch ups. I love hanging out with you away from it. You're again, I say it all the time. Very Chris and fascinating guy, and really, this you're like you're almost.
She's paid to say that.
I just think you're I just think you're a walking computer at this point. I don't even know if you're actually a human being. Do you bleed? But I love the updates. I hope to continue to get the updates and just talk about these industries as a whole, because it's always about educating, and education is the most important thing. Learning, laughing, of course, but and doing your due diligence in any company, and make sure that people go and do that, whether you're going down to PDAC or you like what you see at St. George's Eco Mining. Thank you so much for your time, Frank Dumas. What's your Twitter
It's
handle?
Maican5. So it's MAIKAN 5.
Okay, and Kristen, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm dying to get to Iceland, so now it's nice to know that I'll have somebody who can help show me around a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you so much.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.